Well, good morning, Southern Oregon, and welcome to the Real Estate Show. Pete Belcastro, Alice Lema here. We're your hosts today, and we're going to be talking about all things housing and market in Southern Oregon. Welcome back, Pete.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, the way you described that, we don't have enough time to talk about housing in general, because it's such a big topic right now, and there's so much on the line and so many uncertainties out there, Alice, regarding housing and real estate and everything right now around our state. So, at this point, it's so weird because it seems like all bets are off. Okay, I guess all bets are off now. We were at this very big peak here about the last few weeks, and now I have a feeling that tip has happened, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. The stats we're going to share with you and what they're telling us as to what's going on the statistic wise, and then what's going on up here in our heads, because they're two different things, and real estate, I think, is going to be affected by this uncertainty going forward.
Well, the emotion, right? It's the undercurrent of emotion and uncertainty. And what do we do? And we had such a nice, steady amount of new listings coming on the market, and that was really welcome. And I think we still have a lot of properties coming on the market this week, Pete, but I've got some other folks that are kind of dragging their feet now because of the uncertainty.
Well, we're definitely seeing more listings, and we'll share that with our viewers and stuff here. But we're also seeing a slowdown of them. So that's what's making the market interesting with all the uncertainty out there. Look, we're going back to March 2020, it seems like to me. I had to get my mask out.
It does. Yep.
Wear my mask again when I go into certain places. That is not something that I look forward to. And I'm telling you, there are tons and tons of people out there who are very upset over what's happening right now again. And I know others are not, but I'm saying there's certainly a lot in our areas. We're seeing the high cases again here because of low vaccination rates. So,
exactly.
We want choice. We're seeing choice being played out right now of those.
Well, and now we have business closures. Try to go to a restaurant. There's signs everywhere. We're closed, no staff. So there's still the employment situation.
Yep, absolutely. It's an interesting time again. We're like deja vu. We're going back to March 2020, it seems like to me.
It does. It does. Well, we've got a great show for you today, folks. Please stay tuned. We have a quick word from our sponsor. We're brought to you by John L. Scott here in Southern Oregon, Guy Giles Mutual of Omaha Mortgage, and the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. Pete Belcastro, Alice Lema. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to the Real Estate Show, folks. I'm Alice Lema here with my co-host, Pete Belcastro. We're both brokers here in Southern Oregon with John L. Scott, and we want to welcome you to another edition of our Market Watch. What a week to be having a reporting on Market Watch. We have so many changes. We were on a good track, Pete. Now we have this kind of shutdown situation again, plus fires, plus water issues, plus. What do we do now with the housing market?
Well, before we go there, look, that's like a punch here with water. How about a punch here with fires and smoke? The maps that you can see now, because my son is involved in emergency management and these fires and stuff, Alice, the thousands and thousands of acres of our beautiful forests in Northern California and even in our own state here, it is just devastating. I can't even. It's beyond me when you look at how much of Klamath County, for example, was destroyed in the northeast portion during the bootleg fire. And, and the homes that were destroyed there were homes there. Look at California, like Elmore. I mean, it is devastating. They even tried to, and so as a result of that, look, what do we have? Another year of smoke and things coming up and down for us. And, that plays a role in real estate. You throw that in there with water shortages and a drought that we're experiencing. And, it's a big punch, but somehow real estate just seems to move along because most of the sales take place in urban areas where these effects have not hit us yet. Just the smoke has, but not the water and the other kinds of issues that are out there.
And when the wind changes, we have a few days of smoke and then we'll have half a day of clear or a day of clear. And that brings our hopefulness. I think Southern Oregonians are naturally like optimistic people. We think, oh, it's going to be okay. But even if you could get to the lake, there's no water. And that's really why we live here, is so that
Well,
we can enjoy nature. And it's tough right now.
and it's being destroyed around us, and it's really sad to see, especially for people who've lived here like so me, and you grew up here and stuff. It's pretty devastating to see the fires and the smoke. But that's also given us, what's one thing that we all know what it is outside. We know the AQI. I don't
Mhm.
even know who I was. It never came up, for in anybody's language until recently. And now we know what our AQI is, so the air quality index, and healthy or unhealthy, moderate, whatever, when teams can play practice sports, when you can meet outside, all these kinds of things. And so that affects how many people come here. I mean, it just affects everything that we do, from businesses on down. And then you throw the pandemic in, and then you throw all this now uncertainty for schools. Look, school,
Oh yeah. Oh, poor schools and parents.
Ashland, I think it is. And so with mandates and people being forced to do things and stuff, throw all that in on top of all this, Alice. And man, I'm telling you, as I said, I think all bets are off right now. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be really interesting to see. But again, real estate seems to churn along during this time. How much it churns along future wise, I'm not sure.
Well, real estate is driven quite strongly by life events. And when we have all these calamities at the same time, there's a certain segment of homeowner that just says, I'm done. I have profit because of the run up from the fires last year and the COVID. And so I'm going to cash out and I'm going to either downsize, move away, something like that. We do have people with health issues that are not going to be able to stay here and they're moving away, but we still have buckets and buckets of people moving here because this is better than where they're at. So it's a very interesting dynamic. And we were on track to have the prices stabilize, maybe even soften a little bit. And that's where I don't know now, because we're either going to have, and this is just me making one of my predictions, you know how I like to do that. One of two things is going to happen, in my opinion. This is just by Alice, that it's either going to dry up and we're going to go back into a shortage level like we were. You said March 2020, we're going to go back into that where people just stop and wait to see what happens, or there's going to be a flood of listings because people don't want to sit and wait anymore. I don't think there's going to be a happy medium. It's going to be one or the other.
Well, again, but the problem that all of that faces is, where do you go? And where do you live, and what state do you go to? I mean, we're seeing this all over. So, but it's a tough, that part of it's very tough. And we'll see. Well, look at Jackson County this last week. Okay, we'll just give you 468 listings on the market. And we started, there were 200 and some back a few months ago. So
you're saying we doubled?
yeah, we doubled the 468, which is, by the way, 26% below a year ago. So what did we have a year ago at this time? The pandemic, we were getting ready to start school again. Okay, remember, all online a year ago, right about now. A year ago, there were 640 listings. So we've dropped, 26% even from a year ago. So we're not there. And with the funniest part of that thing, to me anyway, when you look at it, Alice, is that 92 of those 468, or 20% of that market, are luxury homes.
Wow.
It's just the highest I've ever seen it in doing this so much.
Well,
So,
and some of those are selling.
yes, and here was the other part I was going to say, that 4 of them closed last week, which are $900,000 or above. And I believe there were 4 more that went pending. So they're selling, but they're also having new listings. More new listings are coming up. So it is definitely a buyer's market in the luxury market right now, because there's a plentiful listings to choose from, not only in Jackson County, but in Josephine County as well. So in that market, that's kind of the way it would be. But the sheer number is what's so amazing. Why are these people all wanting to go? Where are they going?
And this is where
Why?
having another shutdown or soft shutdown or whatever you want to call what just happened, whatever you want to call that. I was thinking when that went down from the governor's office, our real property prices are going to go back up again, or there's going to be higher demand. People who didn't, make that move last year are going to make it this year to get more elbow room. They're probably going to work from home and maybe even do school from home. So speaking of going back to school, we have kind of a lot of upheaval and disruption in that back to school idea, don't we?
More than a lot of people may think. Look, if you have kids in school or things like that, is one thing. But there's a tremendous number of people who, oppose these mandates of having to be forced to take a vaccination, which they do not want or believe in. I'm talking about teachers. I hear my family's involved in all that kind of stuff, first responders and everything. And I've heard them talk about, and I have not talked to them directly, okay, but I'm hearing everybody telling me there's been a big movement of people are going to quit. Rather than take this shot, then take a vaccination here on this, Alice. And it's quite amazing to me. I don't know what's going to happen, but mandates and forcing people to do things without choice in our country is a no-no for many, many, many people. And this could disrupt schools. This could disrupt, look how hard it is for restaurants and businesses to keep people and stuff, and mandates and this. And that worries me and concerns me a lot, to be honest with you. And I don't know where.
Yeah, that is definitely a difficult conversation for people, but this is where we're at.
It's exactly where we're at. And yeah, anyway, back to the real world. Another thing that certainly is happening in our market or in the country is that the interest rates that we have predicted that we're going to be going up have remained in that low threes, even into the 2 ranges still for certain loans and things. So that part still continues, in my opinion, to have the big event in real estate, because again, I can still buy something for those low interest rates and move myself up into that $400,000 or $500,000 range where we're seeing people go. That's where so much of the activity takes place. But yet it's less than half the listings in Jackson County are that $500,000 and below.
Yeah, but if you sell your house, if your house was a $300,000 house and now it's worth 4 or 350 to 450, you sell that, maybe that's where some of the buyers are coming from in that 8, 9, and $1 million. Because with the interest rates so low, a lot of people never would have been able to afford a home like that.
Right. Well, if you believe in the future of the Rogue Valley, okay, and a smokeless summer or some reduction of what we've been going through with water and things like that, if you believe in our community, then you're exactly right. It's a fabulous opportunity right now to sell your home in that $350,000 range or even 4, because you'll be able then to move up easily above into that 500 range. That seems to me where people are moving to locally, because you're not coming down too far because there's no place to go. Try to find a rental again.
My gosh, we should talk about that in the next segment. Yeah.
In all, we forgot that part of it, and you add that into it too. So for a local person who believes in the Valley, there are some really unique opportunities in that 500,000 range if you can get it up there into that and have a low enough payment so where you don't put yourself in a bind. And that's what we don't want people to do, is to put yourself into a bind with a big high payment, even though you've moved up into a nicer home or something, because then you're just stuck, and you don't want to be stuck with a payment that's going to whap you, even though it might be 3%.
Yeah, it's all about the outgo of your monthly budget. That's really, and we want it to be comfortable. We're never encouraging people to spend more than they're comfortable or put them in jeopardy. And at the same time, we also want to remind people that in the middle of chaos is opportunity, right? And that's exactly what you're speaking to. And so even though we have a lot of uncertainty, there are a certain batch of people, they're going to jump right now and they're going to make the deal of a lifetime.
And that's true. And I thought that maybe we were going to see a reduction in rural sales coming into this May, June, July period that we just went through, even though we're now in mid-August, that last 3-month period that we had. It didn't seem to be the case, of which there were, I'm trying to get this, there were 187 sales in rural properties of at least an acre or more there. So there was quite a bit of that went on. And those prices, by the way, increased by, Alice, 28.3% from a year ago.
Wow.
It's the median prices that are just getting so, to me, out of hand, and the affordability issue, which is also out there, that we need to talk about, because the rural properties of Jackson County, that 187 that sold in that 3-month period, the median price was $625,000. And the median price in Jackson County as a whole in that same period has jumped from 250,000 5 years ago, okay, to it was 315,000 a year ago, to $186,000 now.
Isn't that something?
We always talk about that 350,000 being the kind of that demarcation line. Most of them into that range, right around that 350 range. Look at that. The median price now is, $39,000 ahead of that. So
I wonder if FHA will step in again and raise their minimum, because they do that. They have like these ceilings on how much they'll loan on an FHA buyer. And they raised it during the pandemic, remember?
Right,
they raised it to 340, 350 something.
Yeah, I forget I think it was in the fours, wasn't it? Because people were pretty excited about where it had gone. But that's.
But it's interesting because the government is watching. They're watching the regions for sure.
Well, what has not changed is the need for the buyers to remember that a conventional loan is really what you need to work with in this market for the most part. And not every community, understand that, but for the most part, because they're still with a low inventory, even though our inventory has risen, okay, even though we're rising slowly, sellers want those types of things. And so conventional, much easier to do.
And we've got a quick break coming. Hold that thought, Pete. We've got lots more to talk about. This is our Market Watch show. Pete Belcastro, Alice Lema. We'll be right back. Well, good morning again, everybody. Alice Lema, John L. Scott, broker, here with my co-host, Pete Belcastro, also John L. Scott, broker. And we're in the middle of a very interesting conversation and series of observations about all the turmoil we've had in our housing market this last week. And then you throw in the pandemic and the fires and the water, and we have just the most unusual circumstance ever. So, Pete, one of the things that we were touching on in the last segment was the effects on tenants of all this chaos and commotion and price rises. What are your feelings about where that's going to go in the next few months?
Well, the biggest thing there was that with this federal moratorium eviction, which takes away obviously the property rights of the building owners and of your tenant even having to pay you, which is just so shocking. I don't know. You see investors more so than I do regarding that, and what they may think of just selling they could sell. I don't know what they're going to do, but that's having an effect on the market. I also hear, on the other hand, boy, wait till the rents rise next time. People are going to go for these rents that are going to force people out as well. They can go up to 10%. Remember, in our state. That can happen on January the 1st, but you have to be given 30 days notice to what you're going to raise it to. I think the rental market is just going to, I think it's really hurting, and I think it's going to get worse. I mean, we see some apartments being built, things like that, but the rental housing market is what we like to look at, and that follows the real estate market. And you can see what the prices have done to the real estate market. Alice, are going to do the same darn thing to the rental market. Absolutely. They follow each other, they parallel each other. We've known that for years.
Well, and also it's not just a Southern Oregon problem. I've been looking into the national tenant situation, and the investor markets are being encouraged to purchase single family homes because they're expecting nationwide a 7% increase in rents nationwide, which is really, really high. Now in Southern Oregon, I think it's going to be higher, Pete. I think it's going to be more like what you're talking about, closer to 10. Landlords are scared. A lot of them have had some loss because of the moratoriums, or they've had property damage, things like that. So they're going against what we would have done in the past, where we would not have raised rents. If we had good tenants, we would have just left them where they were. But now I think they're trying to be proactive, or they're trying to repair some of the investment that they've lost during the shutdown, and they're
Yeah.
going to go for the higher rent. It's going to be bad.
I would love to know how many renters have stopped paying. I would love to know that stat.
See, and I think in Southern Oregon, it's not very high, but yeah, we should call Sterling West and ask
I
them.
would love to know that. And I would also love to know how many landlords are thinking about, or are going to raise their rents. Because I think that's really going to be a big play. And rentals are hard. I'm telling you, and prices are pretty high. I see some of the rentals. You see a house here and there that go on the rental market, and $2,800, $1,800, $2,000
monthly rent.
You can get a house payment for less than that back again. And so that throw that into our equation too, Alice, because renters have to look at that if they're able to qualify at all to look at something like that. But again, we don't have a lot of condos built in our communities that a lot of first-time home buyers get, buy or condos and things like that. We have just a lot of old housing, you get it. So are we building new housing? Are you ready for this one? So the last 3 months, we saw 91 new homes sold in Jackson County. 91. Okay, think about that. 91 of them over 3 months. That's about one a day.
Mm-hmm.
About one a day. The median price was $415,000. But where do you think they were built at? That 93. Yeah. Where do you think they were built?
What area of Southern Oregon?
Yeah.
Well, I would guess Eagle Point and East Medford.
Well, you got two of the two of the top three. Number one, which has of course been East Medford. There were 30 of those new homes open.
Really?
30 of them. I'm not sure where they were. They had to be.
Well, I know Stonegate is building down off of yeah.
I can see that 30. The next place is White City.
That's where the land is.
21 of those more affordable. I guarantee you those 21 in White City.
And you know what? Weren't those
affordable?
Yeah, weren't those townhouses?
I'm not sure, but the
ones
21
in White City?
I don't know. The 21 in White City though are more affordable than the 30 in East Medford. I can guarantee
for sure.
That.
Yeah.
And then it drops off to literally nothing in Jacksonville. Two in
well, Jacksonville's just too small, and it's hard to build there.
There's nothing in Shady Cove and nothing in Gold Hill, Rogue River. So I'm saying so we're not building, of course, new housing anywhere that we need. And that is our problem, affordable housing.
So, and then the demand for new construction is so high. Do you know, we were negotiating a house for somebody in East Medford this week, and the price went from mid 500 while we were making our offer. The builder came back and said, no, we just decided we're not going to sell it to you for 550. It's going to be 580. Take it or leave it.
Wow. No kidding.
Yeah. But you know what? They had a sale the night before that was all cash, no appraisal. And like overnight, that house that they were going to build next went up.
Wow.
$30,000.
Well, when you're in that range and you have cash, as you know, cash is king, and anybody's going to take a cash offer on that. Well, that's what's happening in some places. Yeah. Well, I've got one. Anyway, back to the new construction part of this, and then we'll change again. But so there is new construction going on. It's what we're doing. Phoenix Talent right now. We're seeing new construction happening. We're seeing some condos. We're seeing that kind of thing in some homes. But boy, the pace is slow, as you're right, and the prices are going up. And so there are people. What are the folks who own those going to do? It's going to take longer just to rebuild those communities and more expensive to do so. And it's going to force more people away from there. And that's going to be part of the affordability issue that Jackson County is facing. And affordability.
And they're building 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes. They're replacing the homes that were lost.
Right. And what are the prices going to be? As you say, I mean, I watched the trains go by, in the Klamath area, all the lumber that's going south, and it's just remarkable. And what's going to happen with all the burned timber? We have hundreds of thousands of acres of burned timber that's out there. Is that going to be, you have to use it before a certain time or it goes bad? What's going to happen with all that? Is that going to lower those prices? Because the prices really went high. It discouraged a lot of people I know who thought about this or do this or that. But people who were buying land even said, gee, I can't afford to build now.
Yeah. They were getting their bids changed in the middle of their construction.
That's really sad. So the other part of our market that we haven't talked about in a long time that are foreclosures. Remember the word foreclosure and short sale, Alice, that we used to talk about years ago in the market. Just to show you how far it's changed, 99.3% of the 468 stick-built homes on the market in Jackson County are regular sales. Okay, 99.3%. When we started the real estate show back in 2009, the majority of listings were foreclosures and short sales. So how far, obviously, that has come. But I had the experience this week of dealing of the 0.7% of it with a foreclosure.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, which was a Fannie Mae foreclosure, which was interesting. But what's interesting how it changed was that we as the buyer, because Fannie Mae now, they really don't give a darn about that foreclosure.
Not even at all.
Because there's so few of them, they changed the rules. And so there's no power on. You can't check water. You can't do anything. If a buyer wants, you're basically buying a Fannie Mae foreclosure as you would a sheriff foreclosure sale on the steps of the courthouse.
Wow.
And there was no contingencies. I mean, there was just this, it's cash, it's this, you'll pay this. That's what we're doing. I thought that was really interesting.
I do not recommend that.
I would not, no. And because the buyer takes all the risk. You have to go even turn the power on to even do an inspection on it at your expense.
Well, and those houses have been shut down for a long time, and then you suddenly turn on all the services. It can be a real disaster. And if it's not a disaster day one, it might be day 8. So, yeah. And anyway, what? People have so much equity in their properties now. I'm surprised that there is a foreclosure, but that's why there's so few, I guess.
Well, but yeah, it was just really weird. I was so surprised it was a foreclosure. And here we were.
Did you guys win? Did you win the bid? Did they buy the house?
No, because there's the septics and things. I mean, no, because you have to take all the risk to buy it. Put cash.
So they didn't. Okay.
And go do the inspections and go do it. And so it just didn't seem like it. I didn't want my buyers to take that risk.
Yeah.
Know how much it's going to cost, and people don't have a lot of money, and I just hate to see when we have money, we want to keep as much cash as we can, and so we want to, the risk we take is when we age, you want to be very careful with that, and so I worry about that for people. We didn't do it.
Yeah, I just don't think that's necessary. There's enough other houses to choose from. Even low inventory, at least they're up and running. Yeah. How scary.
Yeah. Well, the median price last week in Jackson County, Alice, was $495,000. It was the first time in 3 weeks that the median price dropped below $500,000 in Jackson County. That's being inflated a little bit, I think, by the luxury properties that are selling, because they are selling. So I think maybe that's inflated. There were 80 sales last week. Okay, 80 sales, and again, 5 of those were luxury homes. So that does maybe inflate that a little bit, but still the price is pretty high there. The days on the market, this is another sign that things are changing a little bit, is the days on market have increased. This last week, it was 48 days, which is creeping. They were in the 30s, 39, 38. Now it's 48. So
that's getting on to 2 months.
We're getting more listings. But are the buyers there as they were in mass because of the smoke, because of the water, because of all the things that we've been talking about, because of the uncertainties of school? So that's really, as we move forward, that's going to be the number one thing I think we're going to all be talking about as it affects real estate. Yeah, it's a good market right now. It's doing well. But there's more to the market than just buying and selling a home. It's about people and their morals and their ethics and all these kinds of things about where you want to live and how you want to do this. In the uncertainties that are still out there that we're all facing.
And school district used to play a big part of those decisions, whether you were a tenant or a homeowner. And with the uncertainty of the school situation, I just don't know what's going to happen when school opens. How is that all going to go down?
Well, that's what we don't know. I mean, that's the the big unknown. I just to tell you how it's affected the market before we go out of here. I had a friend of mine who's had an Airbnb in Ashland, booked all the way through July. As soon as the smoke hit, nothing.
Oh no, people canceled?
With nothing, no bookings.
Oh boy.
People were booking short ahead. And since this has hit, not a booking.
See, that's going to affect our local economy. It all ripples apart. So, folks, we got to take another quick break. Please stay with us. Pete Belcastro, Alice Lema, bringing you the Market Watch version of the Real Estate Show. We'll be right back. Well, good morning again, folks. Welcome back to the Real Estate Show. I'm Alice Lema here with my co-host Pete Belcastro. We're both brokers here in Southern Oregon with John L. Scott, and we're just wrapping up our Market Watch segment here. And what a week to do it, Pete, with the fires and school starting, and then now what I've been calling the soft shutdown. It really has had an effect on the sellers and buyers that I'm working with. Some of the buyers really have a fire lit under them, no pun intended, because they're really anxious to get settled, especially if they're tenants. If you're a tenant and you're qualified, they don't know what's going to happen next with the rents coming next year. And so they're in a real big hurry to get something closed and move in.
And smart, I think that's where a part of the market is for renters, especially if you're already paying a pretty high price, where a loan in the the low threes, if you qualify for that, and it was not a lot of money down, but again, you're limited in the number of listings you're going to choose from and where you're going to be able to go with that. So yeah, it's out there. East Medford, Alice, usually, which is the biggest sale part of all of Jackson County, is East Medford, and it would normally have 250 listings by itself, just in East Medford, not that many years ago. And it has only 60. There's only 20,
yeah.
There's only 20 in West Medford. The place that has the most kind of listings in all Jackson County. Okay, in all Jackson County, Ashland has the most listings, 90 of them. But Ashland is a transient town, and there's a lot of people who are moving in and out of that place right now.
And it's more expensive. Actually, yeah.
So anyway, but we're also seeing longer days on the market. So that's telling us that there is a slowing down. There's more listings coming on. Buyers are being a little bit picky, a little bit fewer because of the conditions around us. So the days on the market have increased now this last week. So we'll keep an eye on that now to see if that trend continues, especially as school begins to get started here in the next few weeks all across the district. So, it's the uncertainty creates lots of opportunities, I know, for people. And in real estate, that is also the case. So if you've been looking, these are really good times to look and see and choose, because you have to act quickly and you have to be ready. But there's also opportunities that are out there in the buying and selling end that don't think about, that you may not think about, that are out there, and take advantage of them in this market right now. The uncertainty of schools and everything else, Alice, that's a roll of the dice. What's going to happen there? That's going to play out in real time with all of us. And but I think we're beginning to see the tip coming down the other way now. The more and more, as you and I have talked, and you see it too.
We kept saying it's going to happen. And even if we don't have a downturn, we have to have a softening at least. The prices cannot continue to go up. And it's like that for rents as well. If you are going to be a landlord, or you are a landlord right now and you're going to increase your rents, there's only so high you can go. And then you lose your tenant pool. And, it's not much fun to be a landlord if you don't have tenants. Right. So just a warning to folks that if you are thinking about those high rent increases, please, double check with what everybody else is charging, because you want to be kind of in that sweet spot.
Yeah. And if you're a renter and wanting to get out, now may be a good time to look at getting out and getting qualified, maybe to get out of the rent, especially if you're way up there in a high price, gosh, it's better. It's still
Well,
better
and yep, so many.
than it is to rent.
It is. And with so many landlords selling and selling with the tenants in the house, it's intensifying the shortage of the investment properties available for people to rent. And I really want to make a plea to parents, relatives, friends. If you have a trustworthy, hardworking somebody in your sphere of folks and they're struggling because their rental is being sold out from under them, that you consider doing some kind of a group purchase. Now, they're tricky. You got to make sure that, it's all documented and that people are going to make their payment and everything's written down so you understand the obligation of everybody. But I think it's very severe out there. And some of these tenants are teachers. We've got a couple of teachers where we've sold the house and they just have not been able to find anything else. They're 6 months away from being qualified. And this is a good opportunity for somebody to step in and help that family.
Yeah, no, that's and lenders need to maybe change a little bit too. The affordability thing comes into play here, where we have to have two. That's why we've had so many multifamily people doing them together as families, purchasing purchasing properties together as families for that very reason. So, lenders right now, I don't know what they're going to do, but that's a smart thing to do and think about. Yeah. Why not?
We have a lot of people who have extra rooms in their house are renting them out. Now, do you know some people are renting out the master suite in their house for $1,100 a month?
Well,
like I would move to my spare bedroom. But I don't know that that's sustainable. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen long term.
Well, so just think, okay, so here we are. We got one more week, then it's Labor Day. So we have a holiday coming up here. I know Ashland starts school early. Everybody else starts, I think, the day after Labor Day around there. So what are we going to look for this next week? When we get together next week on the show, what's going to happen? And we're going to know more of whether or not what role schools are going to play here with these mandates that they're coming out. You have to have vaccinations and things. And we're going to know more, I think, next week. And we're going to see what kind of feedback or kind of blowback comes from it. If there is, maybe there won't be any. I don't know. But, a lot of parents forcing kids to wear masks in school again. I mean, like I say, Alice, it seems like we're going back to March 2020, where everything is being kind of affected. You have to wear a mask at Research Stadium for an Oregon State football game this fall. It's so funny because thousands of people are going to be out in the parking lot, and I guarantee you they're not going to be wearing masks out there. They're going to
Well, that's true.
So, people look at these things as government overreach or whatever, the choices we have, whether you agree or not with any of this. It's out there, and the people right now, the choices that they've made on the cases, they seem to be unvaccinated people. So that gives you some thought, some food for thought there as well. So
yeah, and our heart goes out to them for sure.
It's horrible in the hospitals and the frontline health workers. Again, we're back to where we were. It seems like.
Yeah.
It's deja vu. We're back again. We're doing this all over again. Where on June 30th, which was a month and a half ago, the governor had a big celebration. We were through. We were open back up. Here we are 2 months later. We're clamping back down. Wow, that is a huge thing. And the blowback and feedback on the real estate market and everything else has yet to be determined. It's going to be interesting, as it is always, to watch.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that we're going to have a continuation of more listings, and I think the buyers are going to slow down a little. They're going to be more picky. I think that trend is going to continue, but I'm going to take the side of I don't think it's going to slow down our listings. What do you think?
I agree. I agree with you, because I think people are either tired of the smoke, tired of different things, whatever. And I think we're going to continue that trend. We've seen that trend of more listings coming slowly. It began about maybe April, because we're down to 220 listings in Jackson County, not a few months ago. Now we're up to 468. So we're getting more in the days, and the market is increasing as well. That's why I'm thinking that we've tipped over the top of that market for this year. We're going to come down the other way with more listings, and hopefully prices become more realistic, to be honest.
Exactly. They're not going to get their price now, but they'll sell their house.
We'll see. Okay. All right.
Okay, well, stay tuned. Come back next week and see what happened. Pete Belcastro, Alice Lema, the Real Estate Show, brokers John L. Scott. Have a beautiful weekend. We'll see you next week.